Someone unplugged my freezer and I'm not spending this whole video yelling about it, even if I could. And honestly, I might deserve 1 minute, but the bigger thing is this. It changed the week. We had 2 chicken breasts left. That was it. So I grilled them and I put some Great Northern beans on the side and called it dinner. The chicken was gone after that meal and the beans weren't. But this is where the week got interesting, because now the question wasn't just, can I make beans? The question was, can one pot of beans actually help carry a modern household when the freezer actually stops being a backup plan? And I want to know where you land on this right away. Is a freezer actually a backup plan, or is it just a very cold place where we hide our overconfidence? Because this week I found out pretty quickly that I needed something else to help. Not a miracle, not a perfect plan, just something useful. One meal was close, one meal was phenomenal, and one meal got bib cup approval from a 1-year-old, and 3 pounds of beans turned into a much bigger project than it probably sounds like. So this week's old rule is simple. Keep food in the house that can do more than one job. And today, the beans have done exactly that. They've proven they belong here. The problem with a lot of modern grocery shopping is that we buy food like everything's going to go according to plan. The freezer will work. The meal plan will hold. The leftovers will get used. The chicken will stretch. Nobody will be tired. Nobody will stand in front of the fridge like it owes them an explanation. But that's not real life. Real life is somebody unplugged the freezer. Real life is 2 chicken breasts were left. Real life is dinner still has to happen. So this is where an old school kitchen rule starts to make a lot of sense. Keep food that can do more than one job. A bag of beans sitting on the shelf is one thing. A pot of cooked beans can become dinner, soup, in jars for later. That's something else. So I soaked 3 pounds of Great Northern beans, which sounds like too much for 1 week, because it is. And I knew that going in. This wasn't me accidentally creating a bean emergency and then trying to act wise about it afterwards. Some of these beans were for meals right now. Some were always meant for jars, because I'm already soaking beans, cooking beans, and cleaning up after beans. I'd rather do enough work to help future me too. Then I remembered 3 pounds of dried beans doesn't turn into a little extra. It turns into a situationship with a lid. So the first job was not making them exciting. The first job was keeping them very flexible. Great Northern beans, onions, garlic, bay leaf, olive oil, black pepper, water, salt once they were softened, not bland, just not locked into one meal plan yet. Because if I make a whole pot taste like chili right now, every meal tastes like that. Like I already made the decision for it. And this week, I needed options. The old rule is not eat beans because beans are noble. The rule is cook food in a way that leaves you choices. And now the first choice was easy. Beans next to grilled chicken. After that, they had to work a little harder. And a quick kitchen note on soaking beans. I soaked the beans overnight because I wanted them to cook more predictably. Do you have to soak beans? No. Well, someone explained to me in the comments that I personally insulted their grandmother. Almost certainly. So let's start a small fight early. Are you the soak the beans person, or do you throw them in and let chaos decide? I'm not judging. Actually, I am a little bit. But this is my kitchen, so the beans went into the pot with an onion, garlic, bay, olive oil, black pepper, and enough liquid to cover. And then I brought them up, lowered them down, and let them do the part we keep trying to rush. Nothing dramatic, just getting something useful started. And once they were cooked, dinner number 1 was already waiting. With beans, meal 1 was grilled chicken with beans on the side. It's a normal dinner. The chicken had the grill marks. The chicken looked like the important part. The beans were just sitting there like, don't mind me, I brought the fiber. But here's what mattered. The chicken fed us once. The beans had to keep going. And for that first plate, I didn't need them to be exciting. Warm beans, a little broth, olive oil, black pepper, maybe vinegar. Simple. Good enough to belong there, because if the first version is sad, nobody wants it to hear, great news, we're eating these again tomorrow. Because that's not resilience, that's a threat. Beans as a side dish work if you treat them like food, not punishment. So meal 1 worked. It was not the hero meal yet. It was the setup. The chicken did its job, the beans stayed in the game, and the next night was the real test. Could these still feel like dinner if the chicken was gone? The next night, the beans became tacos, and I want to be clear, I did not want to make heavy, dark bean flavored tacos. No chili flavor, no smoky, muddy thing. I wanted bright, citrusy, and herby. Something that didn't feel like I was just reheating beans and then hiding them in a tortilla. And this might annoy somebody, but I don't think every bean taco needs to taste like cumin and chili powder. Sometimes beans need brightness more than heat, so I cook them down with some chimichurri seasoning and lemon slices. Flavor-wise, I liked it. I liked where it went. The lemon helped, and the chimichurri gave it some life. It felt fresher than I expected, but the texture missed. I reduced the beans and kept them hot, which concentrated the flavor, but I did not get the crispy edges that I wanted. And if you're asking one pot of beans to show up again and again, texture is not optional. Texture is how leftovers stop feeling like leftovers. And next time, I'd use a hotter pan, a little bit more oil, and I'd stop messing with them. So much. Let the moisture cook off, let the beans sit, let them brown. Basically, less reducing, more frying. The tortillas went on the griddle, and I'm glad I did that because cold tortillas, it would have made it feel more desperate than it actually needed to. And I'd rather it go further. Cold tortillas in a bag are where good fillings go to die. And tell me I'm wrong. Warm tortillas gave the whole thing a fighting chance, and my wife liked these more than I did. And I get why. The flavor was good. They were filling. They worked as dinner. But for me, they needed more crunch. So here's the question. Would you rather have a bean taco with better flavor but softer texture, or crispier beans with a less interesting flavor? I wouldn't call these perfect. I'd call them close. And close is still useful when the goal is getting another real meal out of the same pot of beans. But the next meal surprised me because I expected almost nothing from it. And it may have been the best thing I ate all week. The next one was the simplest meal of the whole week. Beans on sourdough toast with a fried egg and some fresh rosemary. That was it. The sourdough was left over from my son's birthday. So we already had that in place. And the bread just needed using, and the beans were already cooked, and it was a meal that did not require me to invent a whole new personality at 5:30. I toasted the sourdough, I warmed the beans, I fried the egg, then hit everything with fresh rosemary. And honestly, it was phenomenal. The bread had chew, the beans were creamy, the egg made it feel like a full meal, and the rosemary gave it this sharp, piney little lift that made the whole thing feel like it was more intentional than it actually had any right to be. This is where the old rule actually proved itself because I didn't start from zero. I had bread, I had beans, I had eggs, and I had rosemary. And suddenly, instead of we're eating beans again, it became a real meal. It reminded me very much of a British way of eating beans on toast, not exactly the canned tomato bean version people usually think of, but the spirit is there. Bread, beans, warmth, something cheap becoming satisfying because somebody bothered to finish it properly. I know that beans on toast makes some Americans nervous, but I'm starting to think that the British might have been right about this one. After the taco, I wanted more crisp, and here I didn't miss it. The toast had texture. This one was simple, but simple one. Sometimes the best meal is not the one when you do the most. It's one where the parts already know what the job they have is. The bread gave structure, the beans gave body, and the egg gave richness. The rosemary gave it a reason to feel intentional. That meal worked, maybe too well, because now I'm going to be annoying about beans on toast for a while. But once I realized this was my favorite meal so far, I had to deal with the next part of the plan, the extra beans. So I just wanted to give you a quick note really quick and a little bit of honesty about the canning footage. I did pressure can some of the Great Northern beans. That was part of the plan from the very beginning. The 3 pounds was never supposed to be 1 week worth of dinners. That would have been too much, even for me, and I'm clearly not afraid of beans. But I didn't film much of that batch. I was more focused on getting the food handled than making it look beautiful for the camera. The canning footage you're seeing here is black beans, different bean, different day. I'm out of black beans, so I canned some, and I'm using that footage to show the rhythm of pressure canning beans, not trying to give you a full tutorial. I'm not trying to pull a switch on you either. It's just a cleaner way for me to show what I mean, because when I'm already doing the work, I want part of that work to help later. We got really good at buying food. We're not always good at keeping good food useful. And the pressure canning is one way to make humble food more useful. Beans are low acid. This is pressure canning, not water bath canning. Use tested instructions for your jar size, timing, pressure, and altitude. That's important. I'm not an expert. This is just something I've been doing myself, And this is the kind of old kitchen skills that makes a modern week easier. You take food that would otherwise be one big pot in the fridge and you turn part of it into shelf-stable help for later. So once the extra beans were handled, the fresh beans still had one more dinner to help with. And this time, I wasn't asking them to do it alone. The last planned meal is soup, and tonight I'm giving the beans some help. Ground sausage, because yes, beans have done a lot this week, but I'm also not trying to make every meal pretend like meat doesn't exist. I went and got some sausage that day, so I used it. If sausage makes a soup better, use the sausage. I'm not giving the beans a purity test. The sausage goes in first, let it brown. Let it give the pot some fat and seasoning. Then onion if you have it, maybe carrot, maybe garlic, beans, bean broth, extra water or stock, and herbs, black pepper, maybe chili flake. And then instead of using pasta, I used rice, partly because rice made more sense for the soup. It stretches the bowl, it softens the whole thing, and it makes dinner feel full without taking over quite as aggressively as pasta can, because pasta walks into soup acting humble and then takes over the whole pot like it pays rent. Rice behaved itself. But the real reason I made rice was tomorrow I wanted fried rice. Not theoretically and not as a meal plan concept. I was craving fried rice. And this is one of those little kitchen moves that makes the week easier. If I'm already cooking rice for soup tonight, I might as well cook enough rice for fried rice tomorrow, because fried rice does not start when you're hungry. Trust me, you don't want to cook rice that you just boiled. Fried rice starts the day before when you were smart enough to make extra rice and then let it chill. That's the kind of planning I actually like. Not a giant spreadsheet, not pretending I know what I want to eat 6 days from now. Just one dinner, quietly helping the next. And the best review of this soup did not come from me. It came from my son, because you can always tell when a baby really likes his food. First, he's not feeding it to the dog. That's clue number one. If the dog's not getting a tribute offering from the high chair, well, something's going right. But then he finished what was on his plate, reached down into that little food-catching bib cup at the bottom, and started eating the soup rice straight out of the bib, which is disgusting and adorable. And honestly, probably the highest rating system in this house. Forget Michelin stars. I'm working towards bib cup approval. So at that point, I knew the soup worked. This was not the same meal as the toast. It was not the tacos. It was not the chicken plate. And it was a proper pot of soup. And variety is not always about buying more ingredients. Sometimes variety is about changing the job. Side dish, taco filling, toast meal, soup base, same bean, different job. That's what I made this week work. Not perfectly, but enough. And now I can actually judge whether this whole experiment helped or whether I just made my family live inside of a bean documentary. So did beans fix the freezer? No, they didn't fix what happened. But grilled chicken with beans worked. The tacos were close, but needed crispier beans, and the sourdough toast was the surprise winner. The sausage rice bean soup got bib cup approval, and the extra beans went into jars for later. That's a lot of work from one of the least impressive foods in the house. Honestly, beans should probably have a better agent. What I do differently is mostly about the tacos. The 3 pounds made sense because I was canning a part of the batch, but if I were only cooking for the fridge, no chance. That would be a meal prep jail with a bean theme. For fresh meals only, I'd cook less. For meals plus jars, 3 pounds made sense. And with the tacos, I changed the method. The flavor was there. The lemon and cherry chimichurri did what I wanted, but I wanted more texture. Next time, hotter pan, more actual frying, less babysitting, let the beans earn those crispy edges. But the toast, I'd make that again exactly as it was. Maybe more rosemary, maybe not. I don't want to get greedy, but this is where I think cook once, eat all week gets oversold. It only works if you actually want to eat it all week. Otherwise, it's just a meal prep jail. The real win is not eating the same thing forever. The real win is making one useful ingredient flexible enough that it does not feel like the same thing forever. That's the part I'd repeat. And the rice is part of that too. The soup helped dinner. The extra rice helps dinner tomorrow. And that's the kitchen rhythm I want more of. And one meal handing something useful to the next one. The freezer situation didn't become fine because I made beans. It was still frustrating. We still lost food. And I still would rather have not dealt with it, but the chicken fed us once and the beans gave us options. Tacos, toast, soup, jars for later, and the rice for tomorrow. Not perfect, not fancy, useful. And some weeks, useful is what keeps dinner from becoming another problem. That's the old rule I keep coming back to. Keep food that can do more than one job, because modern life doesn't need a kitchen full of fantasy ingredients. It needs food that helps. When the week gets weird, and this week got weird, the beans helped. Beans are only boring when they don't have a job. This week, these had several. I want an actual opinion from you on this one. Are beans overrated? Or are we all pretending because they're cheap? And if your kitchen has a weak link, I want to know what it is. Is it the freezer, the meal plan, the grocery list, the leftovers, or the fact that nobody wants to decide what's for dinner? If you want to see another old kitchen rule that makes modern life easier, watch the garlic confit video next, because modern life still needs old skills.